Welcome to your breathing session. Many of us believe we breathe. In my experience, though, most of us don't do it optimally. Deep, slow, and long breathing has been shown to shift the nervous system from fight or flight to rest and digest within minutes. It's important to return to the rest and digest phase as often as possible to enhance heart health and well-being. There are 3 areas to your body that we want to consider when we're breathing: the pelvis, the abdomen and waist area, and then the rib cage. And we want to be able to breathe 3-dimensionally. So many people breathe from their belly or they're up around their shoulders. And please take note that this is a process. It doesn't happen automatically. It takes practice to breathe properly. So Harry, what I'm going to get you to do first is I'm going to get you to place your hands on your lower abdomen with your kind of fingers to the side, more like you're out to the side of your hip bone here. Now what I'd like you to do is see if you can breathe. We're going to start with the right hand. Take a big deep breath into that right quadrant of your hip and lower abdominal region. And we're going to take 3 big deep breaths there. And don't worry if you can't feel it. Again, this is practice. Most people have really sticky pelvic floors, and so we need to open it up like any other muscle. We have to train the muscle in order to operate correctly. Okay? Now, Harry, I'd like you to go over onto your left side and do the same thing. And what we're looking for here is not only are the fingers kind of moving, but we also want to feel like there's symmetry between the 2 sides. Okay, and again, it's practice, so just keep practicing, trying to draw the breath down into these areas. Okay, now Harry, I'd like you to breathe from your fingers all the way across that lower abdominal area. And if you can, just thinking about that breath expanding down and wide across your hips. Okay. And I always get people to use their hands for this because your hands have a great feedback to your mind to see where you're breathing into. Now, Harry, I'm going to get you to move your fingers up onto your waist. Okay. Now, most people breathe very, very well through their abdomen, but this is what we want to avoid. What you want to consider is the back part of the waist. So you can either use your hands, you could use a belt across or a yoga strap to kind of cross it across the body to see if you can breathe through that area. But today, because I want Harry to relax, I'm going to get you to keep your hands on your abdomen. I'm going to put my hands on your lower back, and I'd like you to breathe into my hand. Without lifting the rib cage off, the rib cage actually goes into the floor. That's better. Good. And into the floor. It can be a little bit of training because Harry's used to breathing through his abdomen. Okay. Good. Now let's go on to the other side, and we're going to do the other part of your lower back. Okay. So we're getting the whole waist at the back sort of coming down into the floor a little bit without moving the muscles or the bones of the body, just your breath. Okay. Now I want to describe where the diaphragm is. Your diaphragm, which is your big breathing muscle, it comes down like a tent, attaches all the way around your ribs from the front and into the back. So when we're considering the breathing down into the lower parts of the body and the waist, we want to think of that diaphragm dropping down into the lower back muscles. So now, Harry, we're going to move on to your rib cage. Can you take your left hand and put it over onto your right rib cage? Excellent. Now, what I'd like you to think of here is gills of a fish. As you inhale, those ribs kind of open without hyperactivating the neck and shoulders. And as you exhale, you still want to keep a little space there. They don't fully close. There will be some movement up wide and then together, but most people I see have a lot of constrictions around this area of the body, so we want to try and keep it open as best as we can. Okay, now we're going to take your right hand and do the same on the left side. So we'll place it here. Excellent. And then again, just trying to take some deep breaths. Now again, you might find some differences between both sides, and that's okay. But these are the areas when you feel restricted is where you want to pay attention to. So for Harry today, it was his lower back region was the most restricted. So that's where I would get him to focus on most. So you can kind of play around with this and see what's great or what's best. Good. Now Harry, I'm going to get you to release your hands, okay? And now you want to think about the back side of your body, that you're breathing from your rib cage, dropping down through that diaphragm and wide across the hips. So we get this whole sort of cylinder of breathing. And at the same time, you want to relax your neck and shoulders, because it's very easy to get the neck to participate, but we want to just think down and low into the body. And you'd repeat this about 5 to 10 times. After you've done each section, you do 5 to 10 times of the whole canister breathing.